up. I use a mandoline to get them all the same size, and it's so much quicker than chopping. Okay, so this looks pretty good size. I've got the thick slicer on my mandoline now, so we'll roll with that. I just leave the seeds in. You're fine. Didn't hurt anyone. So just be super careful with these not to chop your fingers. Once it gets to about halfway, I put this thing on. But you can see how quick it is to chop up a lemon using a mandoline. Again, get rid of those ones. We'll see how I go with these. I can always chop up some more. And such a quick job that took no time at all. Okay, so I am going to set up my dehydrator now. I'm going to actually put it outside in an outdoor kitchen, just because I don't want to take up my bench space inside if I don't have to. My one's actually quite quiet, but I know some dehydrators are really loud. So you could put that outside or in a spare room if you wanted to. So I have kept the ends of the lemons. I'm going to pop these in a jar of vinegar and make my own cleaning products. That's really good, like general purpose for the kitchen or wherever. So keep watching and I will show you how to make that shortly. Really easy, non-toxic cleaning product and works really, really well. Alright, so let's go set up the dehydrator. So the reason I love this dehydrator is that it is all individual trays and you can slide them up and pull them out as they're ready. So you can have thicker slices on the top and put your thinner slices on the bottom and just cut them up and pull them out as they're ready. Brought the dehydrator back inside because it's pretty much done now. There's a few in there that are not quite ready, so I'm going to take out all the ones that are ready and leave the other ones in for a little bit longer. You can tell that they're ready when, hold on, let's take a tray out. So they are ready when they're no longer sticky in here. There's a few that are still not quite ready, they're still a bit sticky. And the reason I do that is that it means they won't go mouldy in the jar because there's no moisture left in them. To cool down completely and then I will pop them in a jar. So these ones are all ready and these ones just need a little bit longer. So I'll pop them back in. These ones are a little bit darker. They, I think I just did them at a higher temperature and they really smell caramelized. They taste delicious. This batch here is about a year old and they're still perfectly fine. Like, they look good, they smell good, and they taste good. So I'm going to keep these ones and put them on top of the jar so they get used first. And so I'm going to put them in here. Then I've got another 2 jars because I'm going to give some to my neighbour because she gave me these lemons off her lemon tree which you can see out my window, all just fell off the tree onto the ground, and she just left them at my front door. So I'm going to give them back to her in the form of dehydrated lemons. Do try and like stack them in there a little bit strategically, because they can take up a lot of space, and use jars with a little bit more of a big opening, so you can, because some of the lemons are a little bit bigger. They look so nice, and they look even better in a glass of gin and tonic. I'm not sure how good the sound is, but it's not very loud. Like, I would happily have this in my kitchen and not be bothered about it, but because I've got the outdoor kitchen, I just use that. Frees up the bench space as well. Okay, so to make the cleaning product, I've got the ends of the lemons that we just chopped up, and I'm going to put them in a jar. And I'm going to add some white vinegar and some distilled water, which is really, I've just boiled the jug. And I'm going to put that cooled water in here. So I'll probably do about half and half. It's quite a big jar. And then I'm going to top it up just to cover the lemons with the water. Okay, so I'm just sticking one of my wraps in here just to weigh it down so that they're all underwater. If you have a smaller jar, you could fill it right to the top, and then that would work as well, because there wouldn't be any oxygen in here. So now I'm just going to leave this for about 1 to 2 weeks, and then by then the vinegar smell will completely have gone, and it will just smell just like a citrus spray and wipe, but completely chemical free. I'll just dilute it a little bit more with water and put it in a spray bottle and use it to clean my benches. So I thought I would answer a few questions I asked on my Instagram page to see if anyone wanted to know anything about dehydrating lemons or citrus. So I'll answer them now, if I haven't already in the video. Questions was how to stop them going mouldy, which is why I try and dehydrate them as much as I can. When they're still a little bit sticky, still got some moisture in them, and you put them in a jar, they may get mouldy. So it's just best to dehydrate them as much as you can, and until they're not sticky anymore. What do you use these for? So my main thing I use these for is for hot teas. I just put some boiling water and a couple of these, and sometimes I'll add in other things like maybe some fresh mint, some lemongrass. Lemon balm is really good. Yeah, hot teas, especially in winter, because I am such a cold person and I like to have hot drinks all day because my hands get really cold and I just can't function. So there's only so many cups of coffee I can have in a day before I go a little bit crazy. So yeah, I just have hot water and lemon, either fresh lemon, or if I don't have fresh lemon, then I use these. And the other thing I do is in summer I use it in sparkling water, just normal water and ice. I'm not very good at drinking water, so by putting a little bit of this in, it just adds some flavour and it looks pretty, so I'm more inclined to drink it. Cocktails, gin and tonic, anything with vodka, these are great. They look really impressive too. If you've got guests coming over, just chuck a few of these in the glass and it looks amazing. Mulled wine, I use these in winter for mulled wine. I have a little jar of these that I take camping, because we go camping all the time, and we often put on a big pot of mulled wine by the fire, so these are amazing in that. The other thing that I have used these for is baking. I have made the most amazing like lemon slice and use these as a decoration. And on top of cakes, lemon layer cake is another favourite of mine, and I'll put some of these on as decoration on top. They taste quite sour still, a little bit chewy. They're kind of like a lemon lolly when they're dehydrated. So just break them up into like little wedges and then pop them all over the cake for decoration. So they're completely edible and they add a nice little sour, crunchy, chewy element to it. So you can use these in cooking as well. So in any soups or a slow cooker and things like that you want to add a little bit of lemon zesty flavour. They do go a bit weird when they're rehydrated though. They're like quite soggy and I don't know, totally edible, but just not, I just don't think they're that pleasant. So I would use them as I would use a bay leaf, put it in for flavour, and then at the end take it out before serving. I mean, if you're doing slow cook stuff, they probably will just break down anyway, so you may not see them in their whole, but if you do, I'd probably take them out. I mean, there are other ways that you can use these dehydrated lemons for non-eating purposes. People use them as decorations, Christmas trees, hanging things, and aesthetically nice in the bath. Okay, another question I got was, can I make these if I don't have a dehydrator? And yes, you definitely can. I used to make these before I got a dehydrator. You just use the oven, put it on a low temperature, like 50 to 60 degrees Celsius. And I do crack the oven just a little bit when I'm first starting them off because there's a lot of moisture coming out of them. So I just let that escape. Or if you've got an oven that has that sort of extracting feature, that would be good. The only thing is using the oven is that they do take quite a while. So I mean, even in the dehydrator they take like 8 hours. So having the oven on for 8 hours is completely up to you, but you would obviously need to be home to make sure that it was safe. But yeah, just think that using a dehydrator is much more efficient. If you don't have a dehydrator, there's probably so many people that have them sitting in their cupboard and hardly ever use them. So just ask around, ask your family and friends, put a post out there on Facebook or whatever and see if anyone has one that you can borrow for the weekend. That way you can just, have it on all weekend, get a whole bunch of stuff preserved and give them a little jar back as a thank you. I mean, as well, you could also do sun-dried. I don't see why that wouldn't work. If you made some frames with mesh and just made sure the bugs couldn't get to them and use sun power, I'm sure that would work too. How do you store them and how long do they last? So I just store them in a jar in my pantry, and because I have dehydrated them enough that there isn't any moisture in here, they have just lasted, I mean, I've had them up to 1.5 years and they've been completely fine. The only thing you do have to watch out for is like the pantry moths, because they can just get into literally anything and they'll get into here. So yeah, other than like the pantry moths, I have never had any issues with these, but mine don't last, 1.5 years was the first batch that I did because I didn't really know how to use them, but now that I use them in a lot more things, they never last that long. And with any gifts that I'm giving or trading plants and things like that, I'll pop a jar of these in. So yeah, mine don't last that long these days, but you could definitely push them a while. So I got some questions on what dehydrator I use. I have the BioChef Arizona 6 tray, and I did a lot of research before I got my dehydrator because I knew it was something that I potentially wouldn't use very often. So I wanted to make sure I got like the best one that I know I would use as much as I could, that was easy to use, that was quiet. I know the round white ones can be really loud and kind of slow, so they take a lot longer for things to dehydrate. And you also, to get the bottom ones out, you've got to take all the trays out, whereas this one I love that you can just take one tray at a time and mix and match whatever ones is not dry enough yet, you can put them back in. So yeah, I looked into it. I had read some really good reviews on it, and it just sort of seemed like the best one for me. So then I just kept an eye out, and I actually purchased it secondhand on Marketplace. It was pretty much brand new, I think it had been used twice, and I got it for, I can't remember how much I paid for it, but it was not very much. Yeah, I highly recommend that as well. But yeah, borrowing, it's one of those things that you're not going to use all the time, so sharing it among friends. Use any type of citrus to make these. Grapefruits are really good. Blood oranges make amazing dehydrated slices. Limes would be awesome as well. I have a whole bunch of citrus trees out the front which are still quite young, so I'm excited for when they start to produce. I can make a whole bunch more different flavours. So I've still got a few lemons left, which I am going to give preserved lemons a try. I haven't done that before, so keep an eye out for my next video because that might be in there. Experiment, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, if there's any other ways that you use your dehydrated lemons, I'd love to know. Leave me a comment below, and if you found this video helpful, please give it a like or